Hello YouTube world, Mac Daddy 1911A1 here with the Shade Tree Survivalist. Why join the NRA, the National Rifle Association? I think a better question for you, the viewer, would be, what have I done to protect my constitutional rights? Have you, for instance, helped pay for Mr. Heller's lawyers in the District of Columbia versus Heller case, the very case that affirmed our individual right to keep and bear arms? Have you? Did you? Did you write a friend of the court brief in support of Mr. Heller's case against the District of Columbia? Remember, Washington, D.C. had a total handgun ban, and Mr. Heller was a police officer who simply wanted the ability to own a handgun and to have a concealed carry permit while off duty. I can imagine that a police officer makes a lot of enemies, particularly in anti-gang and anti-drug squads. I personally would not want their job. The drug cartels in Mexico, for instance, target honest, tough cops and kill them, their families, and co-workers, nearly unmolested. It's not hard to imagine that very soon it might happen here on a regular basis also. How about the McDonald versus City of Chicago case, where Mr. McDonald was also fighting for his right to own and carry a handgun concealed? Did you support that effort? Did you pay for those lawyers? How about in the wake of Hurricane Katrina, when New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin and Louisiana Governor at the time, Kathleen Blanco, both Democrats, ordered all guns to be confiscated, even though the only guns confiscated were the ones from law-abiding citizens trying to protect their lives and their property from the gangs. The very same gangs that roamed at will through the flooded streets with little fear of the police, who, a majority of, fled the city with their families. I'd like to add a point not directly connected to the subject at hand, but it is pertinent. Please take the time to go and watch our videos here at the Shade Tree Survivalist, the philosophy of survival videos, part 1 and 3. And in it we discuss the self-centered and other-centered worldview that people have, okay? And you will understand what I'm talking about with the cops when they fled. The hired hands, as Uncle Fester has named them, or the police, they are the ones that abandoned their sworn duty and fled the storm and its aftermath, their sense of duty being limited to a paycheck. But I digress. The point I am trying to make is that in each of the three illustrated instances, it was the National Rifle Association that provided the legal muscle, the money, and above all, moral support to the citizens, winning both the D.C. versus Heller case in the Supreme Court and again in McDonald versus the City of Chicago. Some good news from the February 2013 American Rifleman magazine. The City of Chicago and the village or suburb of Oak Park, Illinois, had to pay the National Rifle Association $1.4 million to reimburse them for legal fees incurred during the McDonald and City of Chicago case and the attempted appeal that was rejected by the Federal Appeals Court in Illinois. The funny part is, super anti-gun mayor and former chief of staff for Obama, Mr. Rahm Emanuel, had to sign the City of Chicago's check. I bet he pitched a fit before, during, and after. A connection fit on the floor, kicking and screaming, hollering and foaming at the mouth, and eyeballs rolled back in his head, acting the fool when he learned he's going to have to sign a check to the NRA for $1.4 million, which he actually, it wasn't, I think $663,000 on one case, 30-something thousand on another, and then the city of Oak Park had to pay out $663,000. The fees were recovered, and this is a direct quote from the American Rifleman. The fees were recovered under a federal law that requires governments to pay legal fees of the prevailing parties in litigation to enforce federal civil rights laws. According to the NRA's ILA report, Institute for Legislative Action, folks. Also in the February 2013 American Rifleman magazine that I'm proud that I receive every month, and also in American First Freedom, also an NRA publication. Did you hear that? Prevailing parties in litigation to enforce federal civil rights laws. Do you understand what that means? The simple fact that the court recognized that the National Rifle Association was fighting to overturn laws that infringed on Chicago area citizens' civil rights. More on that later. Back to Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina, though by itself was hugely destructive and disruptive to everyone's life it touched, was not in itself evil. It's an act of God, act of nature, whatever you want to call it. After it passed, however, evil sprang forth. Gangs, looters, murderers, scam artists, and government. Government, you ask? Yes, government. As I have already stated, New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin and Governor Blanco violated their oaths of office and violated the survivors of Katrina, their constitutional and civil rights, when they ordered the remaining police, the few that were left, and National Guard units to confiscate all firearms. They went around confiscating them like they would in Iraq or Afghanistan. That's right, all guns, and they did. Forcibly. Once again, the NRA put its money where its mouth is and stepped into the breach. On a case-by-case basis, the National Rifle Association fought back in federal court and won every single time. Yet even when they won, many times the police, quote-unquote, lost their firearms. Now, they're supposed to be taking these guns and getting them off the street, right? That's their whole purpose of doing this. Get the guns out of the hands of civilians so that we have accountability, we can keep up with them. Yet they lost many of these very fine guns. Oh, okay, I lost my place now. They lost the guns that they had confiscated. To those of us who can think for ourselves, that can be translated into the government or its henchmen stole those damn guns. Isn't that against the law to steal someone else's property? Can I get a duh out of the crowd? In the long run, many southern states now have laws on the books that prevent the governor or local officials from confiscating legally owned firearms or stop the sale of ammunition during a statewide disaster and or emergency. We got that law here in the state of Georgia, folks. I think it was 2 years ago our governor signed it into law. It got passed through by GeorgiaCarry.org. If you're from Georgia, join GeorgiaCarry.org. They got cojones too. Georgia is one such state, though most of the state laws were pushed forward by state firearms associations such as GeorgiaCarry.org, as I've just said. It is still the National Rifle Association that battles for our Second Amendment rights in federal courts and supports pro-Second Amendment legislators and presidential candidates. Okay, back to civil rights. The NRA is the largest organization in the nation fighting for every American's civil rights. The Second Amendment is, after all, everyone's right. Just as with any large organization that has a long history, and the NRA was founded in 1871, ladies and gents, so she's over 100 years old, there will be things we may not like, or that we may even hate about this organization in their past, in their history. In the same way that I voted for President George W. Bush, there were many things he did while in office that I disagree with. The Patriot Act, the invasion of Iraq, TSA, Transportation Security Administration, the lack of vision on his part and his administration to sell war bonds to pay for the war on terror, and of course their handling of Hurricane Katrina. Yet look at what we have in office now. There are, of course, other pro-gun organizations out there, but do they have the money or legal resources or the clout or political influence of the National Rifle Association to do battle on both the state level in all 50 states and at the federal level in Washington, D.C.? Join us. Support them, if you wish, as well as state pro-Second Amendment organizations. There's nothing wrong with that. Remember this also. This is a constant, never-ending war. This is not a simple one single battle. A war against those whose ultimate goal is not gun control. It's people control. No Constitution, there will be no freedom. Without guns, you will know slavery. Slaves, after all, do not own guns. Now, do they? For me, the National Rifle Association represents freedom. Freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom from fear, freedom to live our lives the way we choose. Why? How? Let me allow Colonel Jeff Cooper to answer that question from his awesome book, Art of the Rifle. The rifle, and I quote, "It is a tool of power and thus dependent completely upon the moral stature of its user. It is equally useful in securing meat for the table, destroying enemies on the battlefield, and resisting tyranny. Because a citizenry armed with rifles simply cannot be tyrannized. The rifle itself has no moral stature, since it has no will of its own. Naturally, it may be used for evil, by evil men, for evil purposes. But there are more good men than evil. And while the latter cannot be persuaded to the path of righteousness by propaganda, they can be corrected by good men with rifles." Unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, isn't that the entire point of the Second Amendment? An armed populace cannot be tyrannized by their government. Like our most famous weapons of war, the 1911 pistol, the 1903 Springfield rifle, the BAR, Browning automatic rifle, the Thompson submachine gun, the M1 Garand, the mighty M14, the M16. We have had them when freedom was threatened, when we needed them. And likewise, we have the National Rifle Association. It is my hope that you, the viewer, will understand that the National Rifle Association is over 4 million members, American citizens, standing together as one for all Americans. Join us. Or as Benjamin Franklin was quoted to have said, we must all hang together, or we will surely all hang separately. One more thing. Our president, Mr. Oh So Full of Crap, accused the National Rifle Association of being greedy as the NRA's primary motivation for fighting so hard against gun ban legislation. Have you ever heard of the Eddie Eagle program? The gun safe program for teaching children, little ones, gun safety. What about women on target? What about refuse to be a victim? An anti-rape safety course the NRA teaches. What about the National Rifle Association Law Enforcement Firearms Instructor Development Schools? These are just a few of the programs the NRA has developed to teach safe, responsible gun handling and marksmanship to the public, law enforcement, and even our military. Greedy, Mr. Oh So Full of Crap? Bullshit. As Jeff Cooper said, a nation of riflemen cannot be tyrannized. I agree with that statement. That is why we are blessed to have the National Rifle Association. So join us. It costs $35 a year. That is less than 2 newly released movies on DVD. Less than taking your wife out to dinner or your husband in this day and age, who knows. What a cheap price to help defend your freedom. So go online. And like I said the other day, folks, my computer blew up on me. So I'm having to do this the antique way. All right. 1-877-672-2000. www.nra.org. www.nraila.org. All right, that's the Institute, the National Rifle Association Institute for Legislative Action, the NRA-ILA. You can go online, you can call that number, you can join. $35 a year ain't nothing, people. Right now they've got a severely discounted life membership. I am currently paying for Kimmo's life membership. We're going to get her in there. She's going to be a life member before this is all said and done. But you need to do your part. Like I said in the prepared statement, I'm quite sure over the years the NRA has done something that has not made all of us happy. Yet they are the only ones that have the muscle and the monetary ability to take a court case all the way from the local courts all the way up through the Supreme Court. If I were to try to do that, I wouldn't make it into the damn city court, much less the Supreme Court. Do you have $1.4 million laying around handy that you can do battle with the government? They have the taxpayers against their will, in a lot of cases, backing them. That's a lot of revenue. Yet the NRA does what needs being done. They are protecting our rights. So get off your butt and please join us. This is not a single battle, ladies and gentlemen. This is a guerrilla war, and the insurgents, that will be the liberals, they are patient. All right? They will do whatever it takes in the long run to win. Will you? Remember this. A couple of times on Facebook and different places like that, you've had these idiots and liberals, all the military, they'll bomb you into a stone age. You are never beaten until you admit it to yourself. That is why insurgents who have the willpower, nothing else to lose except their life, to carry on the fight. They refuse to surrender. They refuse to give up. Why do you think after, what has it been now, going on 11 years of war in Afghanistan, we're still fighting? Our men are still dying. The insurgents, the Taliban, the Al-Qaeda, they haven't given up until they admit to themselves that they are defeated. They are not defeated. If you give up, then you have lost. I will not give up. I like being hard-headed and contrary. Gives me something to do. Anywho, this is Mac Daddy 1911A1 urging everyone, please, join the National Rifle Association. Do battle with the liberals. Stomp on a few brain cells, will you? $35 a year. Plus you get a wonderful magazine every month. Your choice, American Rifleman, American Hunter, or America's First Freedom. This is Mac Daddy 1911A1 with the Shade Tree Survival signing off. Thank you for watching. Y'all have a good day.